We're here with Eric, the manager at Blue Wave Printing, and today we're going to be talking about trade shows and current trends. What trade shows have you been to recently?
Well, recently, this year in 2018, I've been to a wedding show, a home show. I also traveled to Florida to go see the Sign Expo. I went out to Indiana to see Gen Con, and I also went to ConnectiCon.
What are the differences between these shows?
The major differences between the product business-based shows versus the fan expo style shows is attendance. There was a lot more people over at ConnectiCon and Gen Con than there was at, say, the home show or the wedding show. The Sign Expo had a great turnout as well, but that was based more around business education than it was around connecting consumers with businesses.
Did you notice any trends at the gaming trade shows?
So the trends at the gaming trade shows, the smaller one in ConnectiCon, you could kind of see throughout the whole thing, fabric is really trending. It's moving out. It's moving more mainstream. These backdrops that we have here have been a very popular item for us and also a popular item for other printers. So at the smaller shows, we didn't see a lot of this style of backdrop. We saw more of the older style backdrops, but moving into Gen Con in the larger shows, these were very, very prevalent.
What about trends you noticed at traditional trade shows? Were there differences between the traditional and the gaming type trade shows?
Between both of the trade shows, you end up with the same trade show printing products. Smaller booths, smaller shows, you'll have the lower cost booth printed items, whereas with the bigger shows, the higher costs associated, you're going to have the higher cost trade show booth displays.
So the main difference between the types of trade shows was attendance then?
Yes, that was the biggest thing that I had seen.
Why do you think more people are starting to attend gaming type trade shows like Comic-Cons and Gen Cons? Do you think the entertainment value plays a large role in drawing in consumers?
Yes, absolutely. You not only have a trade show where you have businesses giving out Gen Con exclusives and products that are exclusive to the shows, you also have fans showing up, like at the recent Boston Fan Expo that I didn't get a chance to go to. They had the entire cast of Back to the Future there, with Michael J. Fox being available for picture taking. So you get a lot of people that you normally wouldn't get at a regular trade show just walking through. You get people who are really diehard fans of the people who were there.
I actually attended the Boston Fan Expo last year, and it was really neat to see not only the guests, but you have people who cosplay, who dress up as their favorite characters, attending the shows, and then you have fans of the cosplayers. I think it's a really good environment where everybody's having a good time. It's not just to be there to look at a game or to buy comics. It's just more of a community.
Right, it's the experience, and the business selling expos, I feel, are missing that type of community that the fan expos provide.
What booths caught consumers' attention?
The booths that I had seen most of the consumers were in were the bigger booths. Now, there are bigger booths and smaller booths. You have the availability to get a larger island, but most of our customers go with these smaller 10 by 10 booths. There's a main theme that is consistent between the bigger booths and the smaller booths, and that is the availability to come in. The inviting nature of a booth, simplicity, not blocking it off. The big island displays that had demoing of products, those had tons of people in there because people could get through the booths, they could get in there, they were inviting, they dealt, the people who are working the booth were able to talk to them. It was the same with the smaller booths. We had smaller booths that when they block off up front, it makes it really hard for customers to come in. They're stuck in the aisle. They're getting bumped by people walking by. The booths that I saw most of the consumers in were the ones that were open, inviting, that brought their products to the back, their displays to the back, that people could get out of the busy street, if you will, walking past, to be in the booth and talk with the booth people.
Now, why do you enjoy going to gaming conventions?
Well, I have to go to the Sign Expos for work. I like to go to the other trade shows that are not gaming related because I like to see what's out there in the industry. I also like to check in with our customers and make sure their booths are set up, you know, with the zip stands especially, making sure the bottoms are zipped. If they're having any problems, I like to just check in. I really like going to the gaming ones because I'm interested in that topic. I am interested in the cosplay. I'm interested in the gaming industry. I follow games online. So it's a topic that interests me, so I enjoy going to them.
Mm-hmm. What do you think people can do to improve their booths?
Well, improving the booth really depends on the product that's being sold. When you're at a show and you're trying to sell products at the show, it's very hard to improve the flow of a booth when your job is to sell at the show. The biggest thing with those ones that are people selling at the show is to make sure that it is clean enough and you're hiding extra boxes of products. Because that was one thing that I had seen, that they're selling so many things at the show that they've got boxes and boxes and boxes, cardboard boxes in their booth that are all product that they're ready to get rid of. But it takes away from the attractiveness of the booth. So my advice would be to get something that they can either put behind, or they can get a table and put it under the table, or have storage outside of the facility that they can access during the show to bring in more of that stuff. Now, the flip side to that is people who are not selling products at the show, that are people that are getting their name out there. The best way to improve a booth is just to have a clean and clear message. You know, one solid point, this is what you do. You got 5 seconds of people walking by for them to say, this is something I like, this is something I don't like. And it's really important to make sure that the message is clear. I see too many times that the message is many different things, or it's not clear enough, or it's the wrong message. So when people are walking by, they're not getting exactly what you sell.
You had mentioned lighting can take a display to the next level. What types of lighting are available for booths?
There's backlit lighting, there's front-lit lighting. And the easiest ones to set up are the front-lit booths backdrops. They can usually just attach to the top of the frame. There's also ones available on the floor shooting up. The ones that are more difficult to set up are the backlit displays. Those ones are very, very nice, but I found are very difficult to set up. So for our average consumer that goes to the trade shows that have a 10 by 10 booth, lighting is expensive to purchase an outlet in the booth, and it would be up to the person displaying if they were ready to make that commitment for how much it costs to get the light upgrade. But the ones that show up with the lighting definitely stand out from the person next to them who don't have lighting.
Lastly, what do you think the future of gaming trade shows looks like?
Well, I think the future of gaming trade shows looks really good because people are very passionate about their hobbies and they're very passionate about the things that they like. So the consumer base continues to grow. In a wedding expo or a home show, you have people who are passing through. So you're not so much as increasing your consumer base, you're capturing who's there at the time. So people who are going to be getting married within the next couple years are going to be going to a wedding show. After they're married, hopefully they're not continuously going to wedding shows, but they're now out of the market. Whereas in the gaming community, it just continues to grow.
Now, display-wise, do you think more technology will be integrated into displays, or do you think that like gaming-wise, games just kind of speak for themselves. You don't need a fancy backdrop or TVs in the display to get people to come in and try your products.
I was really surprised to see a lack of TVs, because if you're going to be paying for electrical for a backdrop, you might as well be paying to also be streaming your product on loop. That gives a passerby a chance to get a quick glimpse of gameplay, actual gameplay, get to see your ad that you've got going on. Maybe you've got a 30-second spot that you play. You can play that on loop. So people can get what they need to get without having to have a face-to-face interaction, and they can get it really quickly. You can also utilize the TVs to, I've seen people put the TVs right into the backdrop, which that allows to set the mood for the booth, gives it more of an electronic style setup.
Well, I want to thank Eric here from Blue Wave Printing for answering some questions and sitting down with me.